Get ready for it, folks. This is going to be an interesting 4 years.
It will never be a dull moment.
Donald Trump has kind of laid the groundwork for, I think, what is going to happen between him and the media for sure. And it was fire and brimstone at his news conference today. The interesting thing, and you know, it's out there because Donald Trump is now, everybody's talking about this. You know, obviously you know the story that there is an investigation right now, and it involves a British guy who supposedly has information about the Russians keeping tabs on Donald Trump, possibly blackmailing Donald Trump. It's unconfirmed, unverified. There are errors in the story. But CNN reported it, but they didn't get into the blow-by-blow specifics. BuzzFeed did with all the specifics, including these kind of salacious sexual allegations that Putin is holding over Donald Trump. Trump has said it was BS. Trump has said it is fake news. Trump says there is absolutely no basis to it. But then there's something interesting.
But he did actually refer to it when he had this news conference in a interesting way. I think the best way, honestly, we had a conversation about whether he was going to.
I think it's the best way he could have done it.
This is a very deft, is the way you put it, a deft way of mentioning the story, the sordid detail of the story.
I am extremely careful. I'm surrounded by bodyguards. I'm surrounded by people. And I always tell them, anywhere, but I always tell them, if I'm leaving this country, be very careful. Because in your hotel rooms, and no matter where you go, you're going to probably have cameras. I'm not referring just to Russia, but I would certainly put them in that category. Does anyone really believe that story? I'm also very much of a germaphobe, by the way. Believe me.
I mean, you heard people laughing in the audience.
The reporters got it.
They didn't want to laugh, but they had to laugh because he made his point. And
well, they were wondering, I'm sure, like we were, whether he was going to say it.
Great way of making the point that he wanted to make.
I'm just glad he didn't actually say it.
Well, so that said,
there was another.
He's out there. Listen, Donald Trump hates CNN. And he feels like they have betrayed him. He feels like they were...
Betrayed him? What do they owe him?
No. I'm not saying what... I'm just saying...
Right. You use the word betrayed.
Right. He feels... Right. Well, I'll tell you why he feels betrayed if you want to know. He feels that he went to bat for Jeff Zucker to get him that job. And he feels like...
Jeff Zucker was at NBC when he started doing
And the job is basically running CNN. So Donald Trump has made no secret about it. He believes he was key in getting Jeff Zucker the job at CNN, and he feels like he's been double dealt by Jeff Zucker, that Jeff Zucker has made these promises, will treat you fairly, and hasn't. That's his view.
Wait, so Donald Trump thinks that engineering a job for someone means that he would get in some way preferential treatment from a news organization, and he is now betrayed that he hasn't gotten said preferential treatment.
Well, the way he puts it is not preferential at all. He is saying fair treatment. He thinks CNN has been unfair.
Well, so listen, I want to get to the point here because he blew up
here, so we can't argue it.
Right, but he blew up this. What you're talking about with CNN
it all came to a head.
Yes, it boiled over at the news conference when, after he had repeatedly called out CNN and BuzzFeed for the story, a CNN reporter tried to get in a question, and this is what ended up happening.
Since you're attacking us, can you give us a question?
Go ahead.
No, Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are attacking our news organization.
Your organization.
Can you give us a chance to ask a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can you state, Mr. President-elect,
go ahead.
Can you state categorically,
she's asking a question. Don't be rude.
Mr. President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
You're attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not appropriate.
See,
I've never, ever seen a presidential news conference or even a president-elect news conference that got that.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever seen have you ever seen no, but because I think I'm
not saying it's like it's a good thing, by the way. I'm not saying that that's a good thing, that what we just saw.
This is the new normal. This type of
have you ever seen
it is what it
petulant,
is.
like it's weird, man.
Have you ever seen a news conference, a presidential news conference, where somebody wants to ask a follow-up question and the president kind of waves them off and says, "No, you."
Yes.
Okay. That happens a lot.
Yes.
So now the question is, who gives when the reporter is not going to stop, and the president is saying stop.
Well, I think
who gives?
This is what's going to happen repeatedly because they're not going to want, the reporters aren't going to want to back down.
But you know who holds the cards here, right?
Well, I think the problem, though, lies in what the discourse is. If the president of the United States is standing behind a podium and accusing a news organization of being fake news and seeking to discredit them on a worldwide stage, which is the stage whenever the president speaks, then I think you're going to see different types of exchanges between those organizations who are fighting for their integrity in their professional lives against the most powerful man in the world and that guy. I think the difference in those situations is there was some sort of, I don't know, civilized back and forth, even if there was disagreements. Now, when a guy is saying you're fake news, discrediting them, no, it's going to be a little different, and that's the problem with some of the stuff that comes from Donald Trump sometimes.
Well, see, I think, we've never seen a situation like this, but the White House press office is not a right, and they can give credentials to whoever they want to give credentials to and deny them.
Wow.
So, I'm just talking, this is real. That I have a feeling the way this is headed is that at a point something's got to give. And I have a feeling news credentials are going to be pulled.
So wait, so now we're talking about.
Well, now that's censorship.
So now anybody, wait, Harvey.
No, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's not.
No. You have to believe that that's wrong. Anyone who has a critical word to say about the president will be denied access to him?
Well,
you have to believe that that's wrong.
Yeah,
that's a fundamental belief in our democracy.
That is wrong. But if Donald Trump says, I'm the president, I'm going to set the rules, I will call on people in news conferences the way every other president does, and they don't follow the rule, then the question is, if he bans them, if he says, I have to have order in the press conference and I am going to call on people. He doesn't call on everybody in every news conference. There are hundreds of reporters in these news conferences. So he can only do a certain number. And they ask questions and they usually survey the field. The question is, if somebody doesn't follow the rule that is set in the White House, what does he do?
Hi, this is Adam. I'm from West Virginia. I think Trump is biting off more than he can chew because he's always on Twitter and he's always bullying everyone. And he even bullies like former friends and politicians. But then if he gets any criticism, he flips out and complains and he acts like a child at times. And he's the voice and face of our nation. And I think he's really giving everyone false hope, and it's taken away our credibility as a nation.
Make sure to subscribe to TMZ Live to keep up to date on the latest entertainment news.
And if you want to keep watching, click on one of these videos right now.